and metrics.
Mm.
And when you turn around and realize that they only matter during the sale of something,
Mm.
because you look at the carrying cross of it all, seeing how it only really matters during contract negotiations.
Yeah.
If carrying cross got hot right as Netflix was about to fucking buy in, he would be world champion right now.
Mm.
It is all on what the model has entirely changed.
Yeah.
It is not about just putting on a good show. It's about putting on just enough of a show
Enough of a show. Yeah.
to get you to. Because hearing fucking Heyman talk, he'll always fucking let a little bit out if you're watching.
Mm.
And he's like, we're not even in the final inning of this story. I'm like, oh, so this is all of this is designed. It's very much in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
We'll run with what has been effective to the point now where they need to fucking reboot their reboots because it's just law. We are in the third fucking phase now in
Mm.
WWE of it just being just we know what we're watching. We're watching the ads.
Yeah.
We're just watching ads. That's all it fucking is. It is just a power fucking PowerPoint presentation
Mm.
of. And are you can you honestly tell me that any of those advertisements have meant fuck all to? They mean nothing to me.
No.
There's not a single fucking product that I have seen on WWE television that I have bought. Does it actually? Can you actually tell me it works? But it's not that. It's the potential of it working.
It's the idea that somebody might like again. I use dude wipes as an example because quite frankly, if you need like fucking arse wipes, actual baby wipes advertised to you as a fucking grown man, I'm sorry, but you failed as a human being. You know, there's like so someone like watching at home going like, oh Jesus, dude wipes, that's a great idea. Because I
I've
thought like
been
wiping my arse is just for sissies. Like, fuck
genuine. How
off, man.
dare we? Like but that whole lovely there's a lovely turning happening now, and it's in the Joe Rogan Manosphere Red Pill Riyadh of it all.
Mm,
That this is something that we've seen happen in wrestling.
yeah.
Wrestling got in ahead of everything and has bit
Mm,
the Saudi sandwich, right? Fully. And you can just see where the Saudi Comedy Festival
mm,
has ruined and will continue to ruin careers of millionaires.
yeah.
It's turned so many heads, and it is just lovely little, but it's only a little because it's stand-up comedy. It's a tiny little world of
Yeah.
entertainment, very much like wrestling. And the idea that you have just a blatant, self-fellating fart sniffer of Triple H
Mm,
that he just thinks they're just the best fuck. It is drivel.
mm,
The idea of trying to produce good quality content without selling out.
yeah.
It is, you need to be able to provide value to other people. And the greatest product that I have seen recently, K-pop Demon Hunters, a Netflix product.
Mm,
It is, it has, and will continue to take over the fucking world
mm.
and seal the Han Moon and save us for eternity. Thank you. And if you got that reference, you fucking know damn well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you
Um,
know, you know.
so it's something that WWE is not even K-pop Demon Hunters.
Mm,
because K-pop Demon Hunters has made terrestrial radio.
yeah.
Has made it onto terrestrial radio.
Even you saying that, I just now imagine in my head Pat Kenny saying the phrase K-pop demon hunters in his amiable beige manner.
The fact that like fucking we all have our own favorite song out of that movie in
Mm,
Maxwell House, right? And we all have our own favorites. So that'll tell you exactly how well they've done it.
yeah.
That you can have mammy, daddy, child all have their own favorite songs
Mm,
that we prefer, and it's all from the single product. So that WWE isn't doing that. There's nobody, even you, avid fucking wrestling fan, lifelong
mm.
fucking wrestling fan, don't even have a favorite wrestler at the moment.
Yeah. But that's also because like I'm kind of like a bit of a like I would also kind of fully accept that like I'm kind of like a bit of a wrestling nomad at the minute because I don't really have a show that resonates with me anymore. I'm in that kind of region where like I've grown out of WWE, but I've also kind of grown out of OTT as well.
Mm.
So it's that kind
Not
of
a
aspect.
not a mention of AEW.
And I mentioned it. Well, I've tried AEW. It's not like I've done a bits and bobs of it. I think it's like WWE and AEW for me are like two extremes of a spectrum at the minute, where the more WWE goes towards one way with like having five like fucking half an hour melodramas, and they're all drawn out completely unnecessary, like strictly unnecessary fucking chaff on a show that's already quite chaffy, and then AEW will go the opposite way and put fucking 11 matches on and they're all 10 minutes and none of them are given a chance to breathe, and then it'll go completely over with the main event that probably does deserve a lot of time, but you've had your audience sitting there for 4 hours, and quite frankly, that's just fucking that should be against the Geneva Convention at that point. So like somewhere in the middle is where both of you lads need to be landing. Like I think WWE can get away with doing a 6 or 7. I've always been of the belief that 6 or 7 matches is the perfect wrestling card, but each match has to be independently different. It has to be unique. It has to be something, a selling point to each match. Every feud, every fucking match on that card can count. Like there was a moment, there was about a year where OTT fucking nailed it, and that is my blueprint for the perfect indie wrestling show.
Mhm.
There was a moment where like you had 3 or 4 important feuds all across the card, right? And they were not just the top tier, which would have been Devlin, Redacted, and Walter at the time. Not everything was rotated around that, but you had something going on in the tag team division. You had something going on in the women's division. You had something going on in the undercard, which was the GN title at the time. Like there was one card where I'm thinking, was it fucking Redacted versus what? It was the National Basketball Arena show
Oh yeah,
where it was like you had the fucking you had you had I think it was Walter
start
versus
there.
Redacted in the main event.
What was it? Mustache versus Devlin in the opener,
Possibly
or was it?
yes. I
And
think
then
no.
because it was Walter Pack at that same event, which
Yeah,
was
that was the other one. Yeah, the
mind
one I'm
blowing.
thinking of is Walter and Redacted in the main event, where the whole story was that he can never beat Walter,
Mm.
and that was a match that fully justified the melodrama because like this is genuinely it's this guy's life worth to try and beat this one guy, and ironically enough, he never will, which is karma. But much to that point, like even in that card, you would have had something to do with the tag team division, which was all about more than hype at that time. So it was just strictly get more than hype to the big dance type of
Yeah,
thing. Third thing was like this phenomenal like feud between Haskins and Thatcher that really, really should have gone the other way, but it was
yeah,
that fucking close. It should have gone that way. And then at the time, then I think it was Sami Jane was doing her kind of ascendancy to power as well. So there was something happening on those cards. But even in between, you had Darby Allin versus Sky Davis, right?
yes,
Like that's a fantastic match. Just put right in the middle of the card, palate cleanser. It is just a fun match for fun, but a match you would say a couple of years later, going like, "Jeez, I watched fucking Darby Allin and Talent."
yeah,
That's what indie wrestling's for. Is the fact that like the novelty of being able to go, "Jeez, I saw Tommy Hiroshi on a card once, and he was in the middle of the card. It was a novelty, and that's the way it
fucking
should be."
Liger, the
Yeah,
fuck,
Liger, exactly. So you have that. Like there is a thing to say that like that to me is a quintessential indie wrestling show. but it's at that point where like the promoter, the wrestlers, and the fans were all in unit, are all
You
synced up, and
know,
they all
you've
had what they wanted.
you've reminded me of why OTT was so fucking great in that it capitalized on brilliance elsewhere.
Yeah.
There's not as much brilliance elsewhere anymore.
Well, yeah,
Why
there's
why
that
did
too. Yes.
Mustache versus Walter mean so much? Because all the work done in WXW,
Yeah.
the
Absolutely. Yeah.
groundwork was always,
Mm.
always done elsewhere. Where now we're seeing the groundwork being done in OTT,
Mm.
and I'm not seeing it being paid off elsewhere, bar seeing where fucking Kaza's going.
Mm.
You can see where people are really getting the benefit of the Irish wrestling scene and taking it to other places, and then getting booked again next month elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Well, I think it's
the
also like that's also like the kind of yeah, that part of it has changed, but it's also like there's also kind of an acceptance where like actually no, the kind of the success stories of OTT were not because of OTT. OTT was just a platform, and in a way that's probably the way it should be, to be
it was the
honest.
full it was the full it OTT was the full stop to an already well written book
Yeah.
previously, and all you had to do was
Mm.
just dot the i's and cross the OTTs.
Yeah.
Thank you, excellent,
You're welcome.
excellent.
He's here all week, folks. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
Happy
But
Christmas.
that's what was the skill of it all, was
Mm.
seeing what was happening elsewhere and not fucking it up, which meant
Mm.
you weren't insulting your crowd. You were
Yeah.
honoring what was happening elsewhere, and at a time when WWE was absolutely rejecting the intelligence of its audience,
Mm.
you could go to OTT and feel like, oh, look at this person is the second greatest debut ever in OTT. Chris Wolf that I saw, fully
Ah,
featured match.
yes.
Adored her, just loved every
Some
single,
someone who ingratiated herself to the crowd immediately. Like
just
everyone was
brilliant,
like, yeah.
ridiculous, fucking wolf head, fucking stupid,
Mm. And the
brilliant,
music, the theme,
brilliant,
the music has a lot to
brilliant.
do with it as well.
And you look at, and this is what I always found fascinating, that it was never capitalized on, which is where you're seeing the weakness in
Mm.
the current booking. Dan Barry debuted in OTT.
Mm.
It was one of, if not the greatest fucking wrestling moment in the history of this fucking island,
Mm.
against Be Cool. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was fucking perfect, and they did fucking nothing with it except give Dan Barry a couple of more paychecks.
Mm.
But they did fucking nothing with it. It was self fucking made that they didn't insert anyone else in. There was no fucking promos. There was no capitalization. It was nothing. And it was self made.
Mm.
And no one fucking saw fit to go, well, if we're bringing Dan back, are we going to fucking pay off what we did last time? No.
No.
And the pops got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller for Dan, because they didn't do anything with it. And it's something that's happening now.
Mm.
That's what's happening. And that's what's happening in wrestling at the moment.
Yeah.
You had the Triple H, to me, is defined by whom he pushes and how he pushes them.
Mm.
So my two case studies that I'm just keeping eyes on, because it's just fascinating as a storyteller, Jey Uso and Karrion Kross
Mm.
are my case studies. LA Knight a little bit as well. That he just, I don't think Triple H ever fucking won a horse race in his life, because he's betting on all the wrong fucking people. Like, holy fuck. When you
I
had,
think there's also a part of him that like he needs to actually listen to the lizard brain a bit more than the primate brain a little bit, where like he is obviously being told by people who he respects the opinion of in terms of like outside of wrestling, whatever kind of like network executives they are basically saying like, oh, like this, like, this Jey Uso guy is really connecting with these demographics and stuff like that. And then Whereas the logical answer could be that, like, okay, no, I should give it to the wrestler. This makes more sense because I know the story bits of how this goes, and eventually we need to get. We will have Jey Uso as champion, but we need to have some sort of stepping stone in between, or we need to have some sort of intermediate to get us to that point where it's going to like last longer. But as much that I'm at the point of where like, okay, listen, I don't really like Jey Uso as a world champion, but I don't mind him holding that championship until a bigger, badder adult comes around to take it off him. Like, I had no issue with Gunter taking it off him. My more objection was seeing Gunter lose it to Jey Uso. That to me
Even
fucks both of them over.
if,
You know?
even if Uso was then to evolve a little bit, get his move set a little bit, change up a little bit,
Mm,
become that main event version of himself.
yeah,
Um, it's just something that, like, the fact that you can say earnestly, Jey Uso bet Gunter for the world heavyweight title is insane.
it is unbelievable. As in, like, it's like you
That
have to have
happened. That
reasoning for it. Like, you know,
you're gonna look back on that and go, remember, remember, um, Brian Kendrick and Paul London were the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions of all time. It's gonna
mm,
be one of those. It feels like one of those. Like, it's like,
yeah.
remember
But you
that
know what?
happened?
Well, much like we had OTT in the conversation earlier. Like, OTT's biggest triumph in terms of like a storyline was Devin Walter. Like, that is still to me one of the gold
Oh,
standard
perfect,
matches. It's
perfect.
it's one of those gold standard feuds in indie wrestling. There's like every promotion has a crown jewel. Like, Progress has a couple of them over the years. A lot of them are redacted now, unfortunately, so there's no point mentioning them. But they would have had certain kind of like long standing, like, triumphs of storytelling that they managed to, like. And as we know, indie wrestling is a very capricious space. Sometimes you don't get to resolve your stories, but when you have the opportunity to do it, you really do have to like get the timing right and decide, right, today we're doing it. We're finishing off this bit and never speak of it again. And thankfully, OTT had that luxury before the lads went off to pastures new. But even the whole story of that was that you had this impervious champion going in who is carried the show on his back. He is the team. He is the club captain in that respect. And then suddenly someone comes around and knocks the shit out of him, and it comes out of fucking nowhere. And that genuinely is like, oh,
In a tag
okay,
match with Loki,
with low key, yeah,
people in that match who I thought was gonna be the next big rival for the world title, I didn't even fucking know who Walter was.
yeah. But there you go. And like in that aspect alone, then when the story comes back down to it, is the fact that like the champion has now met his match. He has found someone that is bigger, badder, and harder than he is. So the story is about that champion regrouping, redoubling his efforts, and finding a way to beat this fucking monster. And that is the story. Um, but how did they present the story is the question. And the reason I mentioned Devin Walter in the same conversation as Gunter Jey Uso is that with Jey Uso, they never really presented how he beat Gunter. What
Yeah,
was the weakness? Like with Gunter, I think the character is always going to be big burly man with a weakness. That is the Gunter character. Is the essentially like he's like a football team. He's like there's like a football team that plays a certain way. That like if you play their way, you're going to lose because they are better at it than you are. However, if you find out one thing that they can't manage, you'll win that match then instead. And that's Walter. Walter and Gunter is represented like if you let him play in that kind of slow, methodical style and let him batter you, essentially, you're going to lose. But maybe if you just get at him a little bit, or just like fucking, or in the case of Devin and Walter, punch him in the face. Like, that
yeah,
was the whole idea. That there was a tag match he set up, and basically like Devin went on this fucking beautiful boxing rally that looks great, and he fucking bam 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 bam, and like this little character moment where Walter puts his hands up. I was like, a guy the size and magnitude of Walter shouldn't have to put his hands up, but he did. It was instinctive. And that's what they latched on with the story, and the whole match at the end of it, the resolution match between Devlin and Walter, it ends with Devlin going full boxer mode and fucking Rocky Balboa in the cunt.
yeah.
And that's this
The
resolution.
like
That's
my
the story.
favorite, one of my favorite calls of anybody, War Devlin War from
Fucking
Angle, and it's
brilliant.
just,
Yeah.
just, but that's That's wrestling to me.
But that's to me is where like that was back to my point of like where everything aligned. Like that was to me a golden age because like you had like everyone was pulling the same but was pulling in the same direction. Where like you had the promoter putting on matches that he knows the fans want and need, and the fans reciprocating that with giving the reception you wanted, and then supplement all that with the production behind it
Yeah.
of a mercurial fucking talent in Sean Ryan, who quite frankly is being wasted in WWE personally. And he could go anywhere. He could walk into any fucking company outside of wrestling and make it instantly better. This guy is brilliant at what he does. And quite frankly, we were like eternally grateful to have him doing bits and bobs for OTT, essentially as a nixer for all intents and purposes, until
Mm.
WWE found him and went, oh fuck, that's front that this guy's unbelievable. And again, he's been sitting on the fucking bench doing bits and bobs and fucking whatever stuff he does for an actual day job now. Whereas you look at his production for stuff like that, that is water into wine stuff when it comes to production. That is like understanding the brief of what you do and making it better and carrying the story for what you want to do. Um, but like I said, that's like even in WWE's environment, that's hard to pull off. Is having everything aligned. There's always something. There's always a little actually in the whole thing.